YouTube. JT, Serenity Farms Prepping here. It's about 5:15 Eastern Standard Time. Long day today. Got a lot done around the old compound. Figured enough was enough. It's getting cold. It's getting ready to rain. Came in, made something to eat. Adult beverage. This morning, I was working out with a buddy of mine in the man cave. Younger guy, known him a long time. He knows pretty much where my mind is and has been for the last few years because he's been around me enough, and I don't bite my tongue. I say what's on my mind so people know what I think and what I may be doing about it. So, being the guy's the younger generation and stuff and never really said anything, took me by surprise this morning when, during the course of our workout in between sets as we're shooting the breeze, he started talking about some of the stuff that's going on now. He's in healthcare, so he actually had some good insights based on some of the dumb rules, as he phrased them, that have come down recently that got him to thinking that this beer virus wasn't all that it's being made out to be. And then he, of course, my man cave is set up as the community room for my group. Right now it just has weight equipment in it as I get the area ready for my weight equipment. But there's some prepping supplies in there that are not really hidden. So he happened to see those and asked me if that was some of my prepper stuff. Like I said, I've known the guy for a long time. If I looked right at him and said, yes, they are, and I would prefer that you tell nobody that you saw them, that's what he'll do. So that's what I did. And then he floored me when he asked, where can I get some of that? Okay, this is a guy that I knew that he wasn't a libtard sheeple. I knew he was kind of a fence straddler because he just wasn't out there every day in search of the truth. Not because he didn't want to know the truth, but let's face it, we all know people that ignorance is bliss. Ignorance from not looking it up, not being a ignorant person. So, and most of the guys that he hung around with that are part of my group were leaning more conservative anyway, and maybe just eventually everything started to click without any actual prodding. So, yeah, I told him, yeah, I can help you out there. And then, if there's some other stuff I'd like to talk to you about too, because let's face it, just getting some food together, that's not prepping. Okay, there's so much more that goes into it that he needs to know for his safety and security. If you're going to start accumulating food, you need to know, why are you really doing it? I need to know how much he believes in order to know how much I should tell him. We've all talked to people that you start to talk to them and you can kind of see their eyes roll back in their head. It's system overload. So he took the first step. Now I can take some baby steps. And I think he'd be a good asset for me and my group if I can get him fully awake, which I think he's waking up. So the purpose of that whole prologue there, I don't believe I've ever used that word before, is very shortly, as social unrest begins to happen from all that's been going on, intentionally to induce civil unrest. The food shortages are coming. They're already starting for a lot of people. They're noticing them. The control is getting worse and worse and worse. You and me won't be known as the crazy prepper people from a few years ago. We're going to be known as the haves by the have-nots. Why are they have-nots? Well, one, because they're mostly libtards, and they cannot fathom in their little frickin' pea brains that the government, as they know it, would ever do anything to hurt them or to control them, even though that's what they've been doing to them. So, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but very soon, these folks are going to wake up one day after everything has imploded, and they're going to see their children starving and withering away to nothing right before their eyes. These folks are going to become desperate. What do desperate people usually do? That's correct. They make stupid decisions based on desperation. Hunger and the fear of dying are two things that can cause extremely irrational thought. One, from the chemical reactions of not having food, glycogen for brain support, although libtards don't have that anyway. But seeing your children dying before your very eyes can take the most meek, meager little pansy man and turn him into a killer. Those folks will have a brief moment of clarity somewhere along the line. And they're going to remember who they thought was a crazy prepper. And they are going to get it in their heads that they are going to get your food and supplies no matter what it takes. Of course, being libtards, they think we're automatically just going to hand it over in the interest of humanity. No. First mistake. But if they approach us with that attitude, and we tell them to get the hell off our property, you didn't prepare, whatever, go away and don't come back, they'll leave. But they will be back. And they probably won't be alone. And they will probably be armed. Because you telling them to get the hell off your property reinforced the notion in their mind that you've got about 25 years worth of food stocked up, piled up in your basement, ripe for the taking. Okay, they're still not thinking that you will do whatever it takes to stop them from taking anything that you have. Sucks to be them. But it's also going to suck to be you if you've made the decision to try and be a lone wolf or a couple or just your family, that you're going to stop whoever wants to come take your stuff. Okay? You can be the world's greatest marksman, but it's not going to help you against a group of 8 or 10. You might get 1 or 2. That's it. You will be overrun. That is why we form communities, to share work and to share security concerns and safety. That is why we move outside the cities. So, we know what we'll do against those people. You're going to have to make decisions when family members come walking up your driveway with the same intent. They might not be thinking about killing you to take your food, but they are going to expect you to give them food and shelter. Okay? We've had that discussion before. We all know there's someones that we're going to take in. It's just the way it is. I prepare for that scenario now. I ain't happy about it, but I know it's going to happen. And if I'm not going to shoot my own brothers and sisters, then I just got to quit bitching about it and just do what I need to do so that there's enough for all of us when they get there. It's the way it is. Alright, so let's switch gears now, because the sheeple, we can deal, we know what we got to do. Whatever New World Order despots take over already know about us. They've been tracking us for years, or a computer has. They've got all the information they need from our laptops, from our phones, from our purchases, our credit cards. They know. Okay? They also know that we know that they know. It's kind of a Mexican standoff. Okay? They're going to institute a hoarding food is illegal and to the detriment of the greater good law. Knowing full well we didn't hoard it after society collapsed, we have been making preparations on our own with our own money for years, waiting for this exact type SHTF to happen. That's irrelevant to them. So at some point, if you live in a town or a city where there are preppers, those folks are going to have their stuff confiscated. They'll be door-to-door, no-knock raids, taking your stuff and your guns. And if you resist, you or your children, re-education camps, if you're lucky, AR-15 round to the head, if you're not lucky, and resist. Once they're done with the cities and the towns, after civil order has been established in those big places where they have all the future enslavement folks under control, there'll be, in my opinion, groups of military dressed type individuals, probably wearing blue helmets, maybe with the sickle and the star, maybe the commie Chinese, maybe a little of all, starting to scour the countryside, reaching out further and further, just going house to house, taking whatever they want to bring back for the greater good. Or stockpiling it all for themselves because they're not as prepared as we think they are. Either way, they're going to take it from us. So how do we ensure that we don't starve to death or get killed resisting? Because even a group of 10, 12, 20, we're going to be outmanned and outgunned at some point. If that is their intent, it doesn't matter how many we got. They've got drones with missiles, they got choppers, they're going to have tank. If they want it, they're taking it. So how do we ensure that we don't starve? Alright, I have gone over this scenario a little bit, not necessarily for the cabal scenario, but a herd of 10 or 20 hoodlums that are going to potentially outgun us and take our stuff. I don't want to walk down the driveway with a big cart when I see them coming and go, here, take all this stuff, it's all we got. That's a dead giveaway that you've got plenty more. You're just trying to give them what this little bit and they'll be on their merry way. That's not going to work. I wouldn't believe it. I don't expect these schleps to believe it. Then you give it to them and they might kill you anyway. So don't even go there, in my opinion. They're going to thoroughly search your compound, regardless how much you bring out to present to them. They're going to assume you're lying, just as you or I would if the situation was reversed. So what do we do about that? One, we need to have several stashes somewhere else, preferably within a few hours walk if we get cleaned out and we have to go get it and bring it back, which you would not do immediately after being raided, because they would expect that just as I would, and I would come back within a couple days and take everything you just resupplied. So you got to be smart. I would have several of those stashes. I know that's tough. It's more money. It's more food. I don't know what to tell you. I just believe that we have to take some precautions for that. Okay, what about a garden? The government cabal troops might not raid the garden, but the sheeple are going to be envious and hateful and spiteful. They may wreck your garden just so you don't have anything if they're not going to have anything. I know. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? By the time they get done wasting everything, it may occur to them that they could have stole it all. They'll take a little, but they may just do it after planting just to mess you up. There. Those damn preppers, I don't have anything, they're not having anything. We know people like that now. It's going to get worse. Those are just a couple. We're going to be targets. We were crazy. We were to be avoided even just 6 months ago. Now all of a sudden, we're the only brain in the room. But they're not going to look at us as being the smart ones. They're going to look at us as being the evil ones, because we hoarded all the food they couldn't get. You know better. I know better. Unfortunately, we're not going to be dealing with people who care or are even rational. That's going to be us. We have to do whatever we have to do to ensure our own safety and longevity and that of our group. Decisions don't always mean a firefight till the very end. Is that prolonging the longevity of myself and my group? Probably not. I'm not saying see one person walking out your driveway and everybody gets a white flag and you give up. No. You got to use your discretion. Valor is the better part of discretion. Valor doesn't mean being Rambo every time. Sometimes it means being as diplomatic as possible. Excuse me. Sometimes valor means being as diplomatic as possible, saving everyone's lives to start again the next day. So, that's all I got to say, but it just occurred to me this morning after talking to him that he's not the kind of guy that would come up and try and steal my food. But if it's one more person I can get to prepare on his own, even if he doesn't join me or another group or something like that, it's one less person who knows what I do that's going to have their own stuff and is not going to try and take mine, is the way to look at it. I don't care how friendly you think you are with someone, if their loved ones are dying, they will act, you could say, irrationally, or they may be acting perfectly rational for someone who's watching their loved ones dying. They may do an irrational action, but it's based on ration, if that makes any sense. So, something for you to think about, because I think that's going to be something that happens rather quickly by the time summer reaches us, no longer than early fall. So, like, share, subscribe, comment, don't like, don't care. But for now, JT, signing off.